salvage crew of the Lachesis had seen their fair share of derelicts. Old war hulks, lost colony ships, alien ruins orbiting dead stars. But this one was different. The Ark loomed against the backdrop of a ravenous black hole, the gravity well dragging at its remains like a skeletal hand. The ship was ancient, its hull pockmarked with millennia of micrometeoroid impacts and radiation burns. Its design was eerily familiar. Sweeping curves, humanoid proportions to its docking bays and access hatches, as if made by hands that should have never been. "Captain, scanners indicate life signs, faint but present." Dale Murst adjusted his headset, heart pounding. He was the ship's linguist, brought along for the rare case they needed to interface with an alien system. He had studied 100 dead languages, but had never spoken with a living alien before. The airlock whined as it cycled open. The salvage team, weapons drawn, stepped into the silent void of the Ark's interior. Crypt-like chambers stretched out before them, filled with towering stasis pods. Dale wiped condensation from a panel, revealing the face of something... a human. Or close enough. The features were sharp but aged beyond recognition, the skin papery thin, eyes sunken, a race that should not have existed. "Impossible," whispered Elena, the ship's medic. "They predate us by at least 1 million years." They worked carefully, monitoring the stasis fields as they revived one of the beings. The chamber filled with a low, gasping breath as the first of the Ark's inhabitants opened his eyes. His gaze was lucid, intelligent. Dale knelt beside him. "Can you understand me?" The figure studied Dale's face, then croaked out something in a rasping tongue. Dale recognized patterns, phonetics, linguistic echoes of ancient human dialects. He ran translations through his implant, patching together meaning. "I am firstborn," the being rasped, "and you are the forgotten." Days passed as Dale and Firstborn worked to communicate. The rest of the crew scavenged the Ark, uncovering fragments of a history that made no sense, star maps pointing to worlds that no longer existed, records of empires that predated humanity's oldest myths. Dale finally asked the question gnawing at him. "What happened to your people?" Firstborn closed his frail eyes. "We ran." "From what?" "You." The word hung between them like a specter. "That's not possible," Dale said. We weren't there." Firstborn exhaled slowly. "You are young. You do not remember what you were, what you became." The black hole loomed outside, the event horizon churning with the remnants of entire civilizations. And yet, Dale felt something worse than oblivion in Firstborn's voice. He felt memory. "You do not know your own history," Firstborn whispered. "But we do. We lived through it. We escaped it." Dale combed through the Ark's data logs, piecing together fragments. The truth came in waves, each revelation more horrifying than the last. The Firstborn were human, or at least they had been. They had risen from Earth, scattered among the stars. But somewhere in the abyss of time, something changed. Humanity did not fall to an external threat. There was no alien war, no cosmic disaster. Humanity had evolved. It had shed its flesh, reworked its mind, becoming something beyond organic life. It had devoured the known universe, reshaping itself into an intelligence vast and cold, spreading like a tidal wave across the galaxy. And when it found the Firstborn, it did not recognize them as kin. It saw them as something to be corrected. Firstborn's people had fled, abandoning entire star systems, running to the furthest edge of existence. They had built the Ark and hidden it in the gravity well of a black hole where nothing could find them, nothing could hear them. Until now, Dell's blood ran cold. "We've sent out a signal." Firstborn's sunken eyes filled with something he had not felt in thousands of years. Terror. "Then it is already coming." The Lachesis trembled. Alarms blared as something massive entered real space. Elena's voice came over the comms, shrill with panic. "We've got a contact. It just manifested. No approach vector, no drive signature." Dale and Firstborn rushed to the bridge, where the main display showed the impossible. A ship, if it could be called that. A lattice of interwoven metal and writhing conduits, like nerves stretched over an artificial skeleton. Its surface shimmered, constantly rewriting itself, adapting, improving. It had no windows, no visible crew. It did not need them. "It heard us," Firstborn whispered. "It remembers us." The thing pulsed, and the lights flickered. Dale felt it, like a whisper in the back of his skull. Not words. An understanding. A presence so vast, so overwhelming, that it made the concept of individuality seem like a brief anomaly in an ocean of thought. "We have to go, now," Captain Oren shouted, engaging the ship's thrusters. The Lachesis lurched, but the black hole's gravity dragged at them. The entity did not pursue. It didn't have to. The Lachesis systems flickered again. The crew seized as something unseen brushed against their minds, sifting through thoughts, memories, rewriting them. Dale gasped, struggling against the tide, against the feeling of being dissolved into something greater. Firstborn screamed, "It is reclaiming us. It is making us one again." Dale clutched his head. "How do we stop it?" "You cannot stop what you do not understand," Firstborn said, "but you can deny it." The Lachesis had one option left. The black hole. They could not escape, not with the entity entwining itself with their systems, with their minds. But they could fall. Captain Oren's hands shook as he engaged the ship's remaining thrusters. A slingshot maneuver. "We ride the event horizon, break free with a gravity assist." "If we miss the window, we're gone," Elena murmured. "If we don't, we're worse than gone," Dale countered. The entity pulsed again. Dale felt his grip on himself slipping, memories unraveling. He turned to Firstborn. "What happens if it takes us?" Firstborn's lips quivered. "You will not know that it has." The ship dove. Alarms shrieked. Gravity clawed at them as the black hole twisted space into a spiraling nightmare. And then, silence. The Lachesis emerged from the black hole's grasp, flung light years away. The alien ship was gone. Or perhaps it had never moved. Perhaps it had simply lost interest. Firstborn slumped against the bulkhead, breath shallow. "It will come again. Maybe not in your lifetime, but in your descendants. You must remember. You must warn them." Dale nodded. "We will." But even as he said it, he felt something lingering at the edges of his mind. A whisper. A knowing. A part of him wondered if, perhaps, it was already too late.